Hi, I'm Tanya at Cedar Oak Farm. Thank you for joining me. Today, I'm going to cover a topic that is well covered in both YouTube and Instagram, but I felt that there's enough versions out there that it was worth putting a video together for those of you who might have a minor injury or an old injury that make it really hard for you to center. So I'm going to give you multiple ways of centering and little tips and tricks as well that you've probably seen before, but hopefully there's a couple here that might help you center a little bit differently that you might find useful. Here we go. Okay, so I've got a couple lumps of clay here, starting small. I'm going to get some other things to work with as we go along as well. But I think first and foremost, if you have an injury, one of the best things you can do is get this into either a cone or a ball that is as close to round as you can. So if I take this, if you've got dexterity in both hands and I pat all the corners, that can help. If you don't have dexterity, go ahead, use the wheel head, whatever you've got. Make sure you don't add creases or wrinkles. Just get rid of your corners by tapping her down, lifting and tapping. The concept down, trying to get rid of the angles. And the next step would be to take it with both hands if you can, one hand if you can't, and rotate with your good hand to create a pivot point. Hopefully you can see all that, okay? You want to have this whole thing round, so turn it around, create a second pivot point approximately where the one on the other side is, and then roll in the middle. Try to get it as round as you can, similar to, and then back to the pivot for me because my point wasn't where it needed to be. So what you do in front of centering, before you center, get rid of anything like that. That will be a problem, okay? Whatever you do to try and get this nice and round before you start, okay? To make it easier for you not only to put on, but also to center is gonna help, okay? And I'm just rotating. It takes longer, give yourself more time. We're talking about situations with injuries, right? So trying to make it easier instead of smacking and slapping and doing things that are hard on your body. With two hands, if you can, go ahead and turn it directly into a full ball. This is light pressure, it's not heavy pressure at this point, okay? All right, so as you can see, I've got a nice ball going here. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the center. If you wanna put a tiny dab of water there, you could, I mean tiny. Most beginners put too much. So I've actually found that as long as I've got a good center point here, I can find my center better, give it a good push, and then whatever hand is best for you, give it a tap or two, okay? Whatever strong hand you've got, okay? So that is gonna kind of keep it there. If I pulled hard, it probably will still come up, but it's a start. The next thing you'll see when we're working with large clay, if you treat it like large clay, that'll help you too. So if you've got dexterity in both hands, let's say you don't with your fingers, you can use your fists either side, okay? And try to work it towards a nice round cone. You can go gentle with this, all right? Bringing it in. If you notice, I'm going really slow. You can even just use a finger or two. It all depends on what your scenario is and what you're having difficulty with. In the end, take a finger, whichever one works, left or right, and bring it around. But you want something that's kind of bringing you into center before we even get started centering, okay? So this method is a great way to save you a lot of energy and exerting on an injury, okay? Now, typical centering. We'll start with one of the common methods I typically see where we're using our left palm, the wheel's going counterclockwise. This particular wheel does not turn the other direction. However, I have injured my left hand before and switched to my right hand by going on one of my wheels that flips over, okay? So just switching the direction in order to center so that I could give this arm a rest was all I needed to then keep going, because it was a minor injury. I was able to do everything else. It was just pushing away in that zone that was difficult. So you can try that, okay? So common way of centering. Let's do it one-handed so you can see it. This is small enough. You're going to be using the palm of your hand. Your hand moves. Those of you just starting out, we tend to stiffen up, and it'll tighten up from the shoulder on down, and you tighten up in the wrong spots and get all contorted. Let it come from your stomach muscles. Make sure your elbows in your body or locked onto the on top of this board somewhere. No chicken arms, okay? Next, give yourself speed. Centrifugal force matters. It can go medium to high, but slow, you're just going to be moving this clay in the wrong directions. So if you don't have a left-handed injury, but you have a right-handed one, and you can still center normally, this is one normal way of centering. We use one or two hands, put it right directly in your palm, and you're going to use the bone in your arm and your body, because my elbow's in, to push that clay. Now, if you notice, my thumb isn't on right now, so I can show you what's going to happen. That clay's coming up, and if I don't push my thumb down, that clay's going to come up and off, okay? So my thumb helps me push down. If you don't have the ability to use your thumb, rotate your palm up and back down, okay? Doesn't take much, but you want to push down enough that you've got a good seal, and you want to keep this clay wet. Right hand can hold the sponge, okay? Right hand is full of water. I can use that on top as well to control where to center. And I can push down lightly. If I push down too much, what am I going to get? A pancake, right? Too much, pancake. Bringing it back up, boom, okay? And now it's about control. I tighten my stomach muscles. Close your eyes. I'm telling you, it's the best way to feel whether you're centered, okay? Close your eyes, feel for it. Once you got it, don't just release. It will go immediately off center. Instead, loosen your muscles up, okay? Let's get your center first, right? Adding water as I go, center her up, okay? And releasing. Okay, so we are centered. We're in good shape. Now, next method. Get her off center for you. Next method, same concept, but let's say you can't push. Okay? You can take your two hands together and you can pull towards yourself. You see your hands moving? You're going to have to lock in both sides, both elbows. Pull towards yourself, okay? If you do it one-handed like this, it's harder, but you might be able to grab that. But you can pull towards yourself. Let your thumbs come down and release, okay? That's also going to give you a nice center. Notice my speed is helping me, okay? If you're afraid of the speed, you got to go at least medium speed here, okay? So again, whole hand. You can come back around if it's a finger injury, and you take both elbows into your body, pull towards yourself. Thumb keeps it from popping off. Keep a nice curve. I don't know how much you can see here, but I'm pulling in, not away. Slowly come off the wheel, and now I'm centered again. Now there's one more way I want to show you guys, okay? I'm going to really get this puppy off center. Okay, we're off center. I'm gonna go grab something that might help a lot, okay? So this is all whacked out. There we go. Really off center, okay? Let me go get it. I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back. Broken board, longer board. It's up to you, your situation, what you need. So when you're working small like this, get a board, get it nice and wet, okay? If you want wider, if you can't come in so much, if you want wider, you can use a wider board as well, okay? Sometimes there's some that are just concave, convex, but you want it to be wet, okay? I find having it wet is a huge help. All right, so with this board, what can I do? I'm gonna actually use it not where the broken edge is, so I have a flat spot. And when I'm using this, I'm gonna pull towards myself and I'm gonna angle it in, okay? So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I'm gonna torque my body a little bit so you can see some more, all right? So we're really off center, coming on in. Give myself speed, lock in. Here, you can see it that way. Lock in, at an angle, at an angle. See it's gonna curve in, right? Very quickly. I have a nice cone that's pretty darn centered, wouldn't you say? Maybe a little off, it's not bad. No, I'm centered. I'm centered. So these techniques are a great quick way to get yourself where you need to be. If you want to work bigger and you're able to keep doing everything else throwing wise, you can also look into the strong arm. Not solicited by any means, but that is another system. You'll see that their system to center has something kind of like that board technique at an angle coming on in, but you got more leverage with those arms that are on the strong arm. I do not have one, or I'd show you. Anyway, this is a great technique for minor injuries. I find this one particularly helpful. I've also found that certain plastics where you can create an arm or attach to where you could use your body instead of your arms could work. I don't have that set up here, but that's another potential as well, where you take and literally use your back and pull that board and that piece in that way. So I hope you find this helpful and enjoy throwing. Take care, guys.